schedule.
That's
I don't know
right.
if we're on the air yet or not, but,
Mike's not in today, so I don't know who's running it.
No, Cam is here.
Oh, Cam is.
Trying to get it all.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and call our meeting to order for the City of Erie Land Bank August 16th meeting. And I'd like to start off by seeking approval of the consent agenda and minutes from our July 19th meeting.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Very good. Let's move on to citizens' comments. Aaron, did anybody
No,
make any
nobody.
comments?
Nobody has reached out in regards to the Erie Land Bank or made any reference to want to speak today, so we're good.
Okay, very good. So let's go ahead and move on to finance report.
All right. So you can see the balance sheet and the profit and loss is attached to your packet. Savings account with the fair funding, that hasn't changed other than just some interest since last month. We have just over 48,000 in that account. Checking account, $20,944, jumped up a little bit from last month. I did want to kind of touch on what the auditors had spoke about 2 meetings ago about the fund balance, just like for some clarification, because I'm not sure everyone was kind of on the same page with that. But Chris, remember it was you had a discussion with Amy about the $39,000. So that's not like money that's in there that we can just use.
Right.
You know, I have a description, I didn't attach it, but, so it's based off of the net income over the loss over the years, which is the difference between the assets and the liabilities, and is made up of the earnings over the year. So the information is kind of misleading, seeing as the value of some of the assets are properties, and on the books, the value is much greater than their actual worth. So that $39,000 is not cash available for use. Does that make sense to you?
It does, yeah. It
Okay.
was more a question of, are we appropriating a certain amount, carrying it forward, or are we addressing that year by year? She did, I think.
Oh,
her
okay,
answer
so
was
you guys,
good.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
I just
thank
wanted
you.
to make sure everyone was.
It was more an accounting question than.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right, some activity, 422 Popular, we had to reimburse ERA for the just compensation for that. Disbursement request from Erie County Land Bank for the 2021 work plan, we received $7,938, and then for work plan 2, we received $6,412, so that was good. Property sales, we sold 2606 Jackson, $1,500, and a transaction fee we took in of $750. 633 West 4th, we received a deposit of $50, and then that sale should be probably soon, I'm guessing, within the next month, right?
Yeah.
And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on the fact that ERA has an outstanding balance that Land Bank owes to ERA for $32,000. Take one and pass it around. This is just, I've just been keeping track of each month and the fees that ERA is owed, just to kind of give you an idea. And that's really all I had. If you have any questions.
Question about the outstanding balance. We did talk about this at the redevelopment authority meeting last time. And it really came from sort of a, what would you call it? How would you explain the administrative fee?
Yeah, I guess a misappropriation of administrative funding or a lack of percentage drawdown
From
the Erie County Land Bank.
Is there's probably not a good way to sort of catch up on
No,
that?
no,
It's
I
just
mean-
through property sales, so that eventually.
Yeah, we're trying to catch it up as best we can, you know, with what we have working through the process right now.
And then the work plan moving forward with the full 15% admin, that will cover, you believe will fully cover the staff
Yes.
and administrative costs?
Yeah, we're doing as much as we can to try to at least keep the administrative costs less than what we are administratively drawing down from that plan.
All right, thank you. I just want a little more clarification for the record.
So as we move forward budget-wise, a couple of things. I mean, first of all, this should not be an issue moving forward because it's going to be right off the top. But secondly, as we review it, the P&L each month, would it be beneficial to have a projection or a budget and then compare it to where we are year to date so that we're not carrying forward liabilities we don't realize we're incurring. And then I guess we need to figure out, you know, a good way to pay this down, to draw this down. We certainly can't do it all at once, so I don't know if that's a discussion we should put on the next agenda and think about how we want to chip away at this invoice. We're probably not prepared to talk about that today, but definitely get it on the agenda for next month unless anybody wants to address some idea or offer ideas now.
No, so I can add it to the agenda for next month and certainly have some thoughts and ideas as far as how we can work on moving toward paying that down through, you know, some kind of generation of revenue.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's going to
then-
have to come from property sales at some
Right.
point if you can cover the costs
Yeah.
plus.
Right.
I don't know if you're doing that now, how much from
I mean,
property sales you're.
if there's some small invoice of $2,000-3,000, you know, I'll take that. But, I mean, some of these are really big, like, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't want to leave the land bank short, so just keep an ongoing invoice.
Yeah. And then we can certainly work on putting together a proposed 2022 budget so that we have something to work off of for 2022. And we've never done that in the past.
Right, I think we're at the point now where, you know, when it was new and we didn't have a lot flowing through there,
Right.
but we're at a point now where we need to account for this type of activity. And then in that budget, you know, whether it's 1,000 a month, 2,000 a month, however we want to draw this down, we built into that so that we'll know through the P&L that we're addressing this.
Okay.
So. Any other comments or questions on the financials?
Sounds
Paul?
good.
Okay. And I would seek a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, Kelly. All right, let's move on to a report of the executive director. Aaron?
All right, thanks, Chris. Work Plan 1, just as in the past, the 422 Poplar is still out there. We haven't received a signed sales agreement back from the lady that had offered to purchase that property. She said she was going to run it by her attorney and get back to me. That was, you know, a month ago. So I'm going to give her another probably 5 to 10 days to get back to us, and then I'll reach out to her and see what her intention is, whether or not she wants to actually move forward with that so that I can have some kind of plan otherwise for the next meeting if she is not going to purchase that property, because it's something, we're going to have to do something with it. If it continues to sit there in its condition, it's just not going to be good for the neighborhood. So we'll hopefully I'll have some kind of resolution for that next month for you. Now, Work Plan 2, just on that one is we're still working on conveying a few of those properties as side lots. You know, we sold 2606 Jackson. We have 2421 German. If you remember from last month, that was the individual who had some overdue water bills. It's working. He's paid off, I think, all but the sewer bill at this point. So hopefully here, this next few weeks, he'll be able to have that all caught up. We'll be able to get a sales agreement done on that one. And then 502 Dunn is another one. Of course, you know, we had that one offer. Then we got the second offer. You know, the individual, the first offer didn't pay the taxes. The second individual, we offered it to him. Of course, once he got the sales agreement, all of a sudden he wanted to make payments on it. And I was, you know, of course, no, we want all the money so we can convey it to you. So he's working on seeing what he can do, and we'll kind of see and monitor that as we move forward, whether or not, he wants to proceed. Any questions on those two?
Yeah, who was that at 501, 502 done?
502, the individual, the second individual was a Jared Klink,
Okay.
who owned the property on the other side of the street, basically across the street from it.
Okay.
The 2021 work plan, we're working through conveying 702 Raspberry, 521 West 3rd to our West Bayfront, and then 614 East 5th and 445 East 5th will go to Best. We got those out for demolition bids at this point. The 614 East 5th Street was a garage back in the middle of the block that Best had hoped to use for storing landscape stuff. The snowfall took it down, so right now it's a pile of rubble in the middle of the block. So we have a bid out there to get a proposal to kind of clear that lot before we convey it over to Best. Any questions on that?
Erin, can I ask a question about the Raspberry property? Just what are you going to do? Because I think I had a phone call about that or a Facebook message from somebody about that one. So what's the work plan for that one?
702 Raspberry is going to be conveyed to our West Bayfront, who is going to rehabilitate the property.
Okay.
They're not sure what they're going to do with the storefront, whether or not that's going to stay or not, but that's yet to be determined. But it'll stay a 2-unit property at least.
I think the rumor was that somebody had Facebooked me. They thought of like a drug rehab facility was going in there or something. So.
Yeah, no, not that property.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
I didn't
welcome.
interrupt. My ears perked up when you said that, and I thought, I can get back to this. Thank you.
Any question on the other questions? All right, and then I guess I just, a brief couple notes. The Redevelopment Authority was awarded the Keystone Communities Grant for $150,000 for blight mitigation. So, as we haven't got the contract yet, we're not supposed to make any public announcements on it yet, but, hopefully here in the next few weeks, we'll get a contract from the state on that. And then if you're not aware, Kelly is leaving the authority. She's working part-time currently. She accepted a job with the city. So the Redevelopment Authority is in a search for a new Director of Finance and Administration currently. So we've got some job ads out there and getting some applicants, so we'll be able to review those here and hopefully find the right fit to replace Kelly.
That's impossible.
I know, right?
I don't know about that.
So that's all I have for my Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Aaron. Let's go ahead and move on then to the Solicitor's report.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mine's going to be short. I have started the process we talked about the memorandum of understanding with the county redevelopment authority, the county land bank, and also the ethical guidelines and conflict of interest. I have started that process, reached out to Jenna Bickford at Fellow Millen, who's counsel for county land bank. Then I came down as positive, and my world went upside down. So this is my first day back, thank you everybody, but I am the poster child on why everybody should get vaccinated. Because all I had for 2 weeks was a sinus headache and sinus congestion. But I started the process. I didn't get overly far from last month, but it's a work in progress. So now I'm back completely negative. I'll be able to get my arms around these and get a full report for you folks next meeting. Okay. But again, don't get vaccinated. If the worst thing you have is a headache and some sinus congestion, that's great. I've now stepped off my soapbox. So that's why the solicitor's report is very short.
Okay.
Thanks, Gene.
All righty, thank you. Okay, let's move on to unfinished business and new business. Aaron.
All right, 550, 554 East 25th Street. If you remember, 554 East 25th Street was a property that caught fire. We were already in the process of 550 East 25th Street. We have an offer to purchase both lots from a local business owner. Councilwoman Allen sponsored the removal of the demolition lien that was on it, so we've got that council approval, the taxes, and we're gonna move to get the school district to abate their taxes on that property, and then, of course, we'll get the county to do theirs, and then we'll be able to get that conveyed over and finalize the sale and move forward with those ones. So I just wanted to update the board on those. It had been off the agenda for a few months while we were working on getting that process going.
Those are actually 2 lots there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that building on the corner there, the northwest corner, is that his too?
I am not sure.
Okay.
That I don't know. But that was a donation from the owner of 554 to the land bank, since it was, demolished just due to the fire by the city. So then he offered to donate it over to the land bank, since we had that lot right next door. All right, we'll move on to the property disposition.
Yep.
All right, we have an offer from an adjoining property owner to purchase 642 East 25th Street. He actually owns the property directly behind the parcel. There is an alleyway. It's not necessarily an adjoining property owner, but he is the owner directly behind the property, and he's offered to purchase the lot for $500 to extend his property for his tenants on 24th Street, and of course he plans to use it as for gardening.
I got a question on that, Aaron. I went by there today. So the lot we're talking about is the vacant lot?
Yes.
There's a vacant lot, and then there's 3 empty homes right to the east of that lot.
Yeah, so we're talking about 642 East 25th Street, and I believe this lot is owned by Zach Associates LLC, and then this lot, larger parcel, is owned by, I believe it's an out-of-town landlord. Neither of them, of course, all adjoining property owners get offered to put in offers to, purchase the lot. We didn't receive anything, but we did get an offer from 637 from Mr. Harris.
Do we know anything more about him or that entity? I looked up the 3 properties under that entity's name. I didn't see anything delinquent.
Yeah, from what we can find, there's nothing delinquent. There was I believe Courtney found a garbage bill from a tenant on one of his properties, but of course it was the tenant's issue, but not really Mr. Harris's. And it was only $100 and some at that point. So yeah, nothing really, no red flags came up in our look into him.
My only red flag on this, and it just is this more of a common occurrence that we see, is just his use of gardening as a use. It's not the highest and best. It's probably not going to work out, and I think, I don't know that we play a role in that as a land bank, as the previous owner. I mean, if someone came in and just says, I would just want to use it as a yard, we let them do that, but I don't know, just putting it out there, I don't know how to rectify that. We know it's an urban garden, a community garden, it just ends up being more of a problem for the neighborhood than it.
Right, I agree. I think I don't know if it's just the fact that people feel they need to put community garden as a way to get us to accept an offer, if that's just kind of what it's come to, but it seems like everybody who puts an offer in on a vacant lot says garden. I don't know, I think it's just kind of the buzz they heard, and that's what they feel they have to do.
Like I said, I don't have a good resolution. I don't know what we would do as an
I
organization.
think it really has to be more of a code issue. Like, what do we allow? How much of this gardening do we allow? What does that look like? Because I don't think this is the place to say yay or nay to somebody who wants to do that. We do need to do something, because it should be maintained, and that most of the time it does end up being not what we want it to be. But
Could I ask another question about that? I wasn't sure if this is part of the service or maybe a recommendation. That community garden thing, everybody thinks that they can, even if it's not a community garden, even if it's for their own family, some of those lots might have stuff where you don't want to be growing food on. So do we recommend to them that they get the soil tested, or just a thought? Because I'm thinking about when I talked to the SSJs a couple of weeks ago, and Gretchen Journey mentioned, like, they developed a park, the Three Sisters Park, and they said that that was not suitable for agriculture because there had been a boiler factory there. So it just was like a little reminder that, as you said, well-intentioned, or, it's buzz, I'm going to have a community garden, but you might not want to be growing stuff everywhere just because there's dirt there. So
Exactly.
anyhow, just a thought as you were, I know you're really developing great plans and everything, but just something.
Well, and that's another great reason why there's probably a need for a separate approval process where they come in and say, I would like to use this lot for growing. There would have to be some sort of demonstration that the property is clean and safe for that. Do we start to ask for that prior to approving these? I mean, we would have to develop that approval system through code.
Or is it,
Yeah, there's really no.
is it better just to kind of even back away further from it? Like we are, this is simply a property transaction, I'm putting on a different hat now than I would if I'm sitting in the zoning or code office. Zoning code office, I'd rather you check all the boxes so we don't end up getting it in the, getting a problem in the next step. But if this is simply, we are trying to transfer property out of the land bank, why are we even asking them what the use is? If this was a regular property transaction, it's up to me as the buyer to know what the permitted uses are for that property. So
I would still like to know what the use is going to be, though.
If we make a decision, under this, I would say let's not sell it to someone who's going to use it as a garden. So with just playing devil's advocate to that, Chris. Like I said, I don't have a good
primarily because
solution.
we've had multiple offers. Sometimes in the past, you have multiple offers, and that's a determining factor. What are they going to use it for? Is it enough for us to decline something? No. In most cases, no. So it is a gray area, and I think there isn't a good answer right now.
I have two thoughts here. One is going back to what Liz said on what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about that area West 19th Street?
Yeah.
Okay, so we already know that there were commercial properties there, old shops and factories over the years. This here is obviously a neighborhood. It's been there for 100 years. So we, it's pretty safe to say we won't find any contaminants, hopefully. But he's also saying he's going to use it for gardening. And I think what you say, Aaron, just makes sense. People think it looks good to say, yeah, I'm going to put a community garden there. But God just wants to extend his property. That lot you were talking about on 25th and Ash, that guy's cleaned it out. He's put a picnic table in there, and, it looks good, from what it looked like before. And I'm sure this guy will do the same thing. My brother just did it at his house. He took his time the last couple of years, brought the 2 or 3 lots to the north of him, south of him. Now he's enclosed it. He has a deck there, and it looks really, really nice compared to what it was before.
And Paul, I would agree with you if he's renting the adjacent property. He's not, it's his rental unit.
It's a rental.
It's not, it's not a homeowner. So that's even another, I don't know, that can go either way, right?
Right.
If he's trying to make it nicer, but, sorry, I don't mean to delay it. I just, it keeps coming up as a.
But this,
it's good.
as you peel this back, you discover more, and maybe this is a question of seeking approval from the code office for your proposed use before it gets to us. I mean, there probably should be a box here that we check, that they have to go and make a phone call and say, I'm thinking of building a garage on this, it's next to my current home, or it's just going to be a yard, or it's going to be whatever. Does that proposed use meet the guidelines? Because we really haven't even been, I think, digging that deeply, and we should be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, land bank properties, I mean, they're really not eligible for any structure for 5 years because they can't conjoin their property and the vacant lot, so they can't build a garage, they can't put any real structure on the property. So that eliminates that zoning.
Not without variances, so that would be the caveat I would put on the zoning compliance request, is that this would require a variance, because you can't conjoin the lots, you can't do an accessory structure without a primary structure.
Yeah.
And urban ag, I'm not as familiar with what the requirements are there, but there are urban agricultural permissions within the zoning code. So gardening, individual, if it's just a garden, that wouldn't fall under urban garden. If it's actually a commercial operation, like French Street Farms would be. So, probably something that we should put on a discussion. I mean, we don't necessarily have to hold this, I don't know, if you want to hold this one up for further discussion, that's fine too, but just throwing it out there that it again, you keep peeling back the layers and you
Well, we could go on
undiscover,
Yeah.
is it going to be more challenging? And we don't want this to come back as a code issue if we can help it now.
Right, and a lot of this, it may take time to blossom into that, but we don't want to start noticing problems in 2 or 3 years of things that we actually approved through this
Yeah.
group. I would like to follow up with a plan of some sort to have a little better review or approval of what they're proposing, and I don't know, that's not my area of expertise, but this probably isn't enough.
Yeah, you can request, you could have a zoning compliance form that they sign off on, and that way they're explaining exactly what they're proposing to do, and have zoning sign off on it, saying this, according to this situation, this is what they can and cannot do, or require variance, so at least you are a little more informed.
Yeah.
I
You know,
think.
Is that adding a lot of burden on what you're, I mean, it's, we're trying not to burden the process here, but that form to start, that's enough
Yeah, I
to,
think that's a good idea.
And then it's up to them, it's not up to Aaron to, it's up to Aaron to make sure that the application is complete, but it's not complete without a zoning compliance.
yeah, we certainly, yeah. We look in and see what they would need and any kind of added process that would add to somebody who wants to buy a lot. I mean, I guess I just don't want to make it harder for somebody to put in an application. We already hold enough of them, and any other factor to keep somebody that, process to go through, they may not do it. Yeah, the only, the garden, in most cases, I wouldn't see them ever doing the garden. The only issue I would have with this is that, maybe if the tenants would just start using that as a pass-through driveway to their lot on 24th Street, becoming a nuisance to the two neighbors. So.
yeah.
Is that alleyway open?
That
I couldn't tell
I
from
didn't
the
get a chance to
pictures.
go out there and look and see if it appears to be overgrown, so
Yeah,
it may have
doesn't
been
seem to be.
abandoned already, but I know there are garages back off the alley. So that's
I just think a simple check to make sure that their proposed idea is at least compliant with code and zoning. Because you're right, we don't want to overcomplicate this. Like
The
the
owner
concern
should be
you,
able
the
to
concern
do
you
that,
just
yeah.
mentioned, we also can't possibly predict if they're going to violate something in the future. We
Oh,
have
no.
no way of knowing that. So we don't want to overly complicate it, but checking the box of, okay, this idea is compliant or at least allowable. And I think in most cases we assume it is, but. Okay.
Is this being tabled, or is this on?
Well, I don't think we want to table anything now, because it's not, the process is what it
Yeah.
is, so we don't want to hold anybody up, in my opinion.
Oh, and gardens is listed as an example of the use, so.
yeah, it's right there.
And we can't hold that against them.
Right.
It kind of gives them 3 options to choose from.
Yeah.
He didn't choose the et cetera, is what you're saying.
Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, that's all I
Just
have.
looking for a motion to approve
Yeah,
this.
motion.
Okay, so I would
Move to
seek a
approve that.
motion to approve the disposition of 642 East 25th Street.
I'll move to
Okay,
approve.
second.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, property donation.
All right, so I know we talked about property donations last month, and, we said we'd, just kind of present it to you with some more information. I did get a call from Ms. Franco wondering, if we were going to accept her donation of 2236 Warfel. So I just kind of provided you guys the information. You know, of course, the donation agreement would be that if we did accept it, we would do a title search. We would not accept the conveyance or the donation of the property if there was a mortgage or anything like that on the property, and she would be responsible to pay her back taxes that are owed. She owes 2 years right now, so of course, it is right there on that line of whether or not it goes to judicial sale next year. So I did provide an aerial show of it, on Warfel there. Of course, it's not directly connected to one of the commercial parcels, but it is a fairly large parcel there on Warfel Avenue. It would definitely be suitable for, a home construction if somebody wanted to do that due to its size. The property to the north there on the right in your picture has been noticed by code enforcement for being vacant. So I don't really know, they don't know much about, yes, that one. They don't really know much yet since it's recent, whether or not it's vacant or going to stay vacant, but that could be a property that ends up, a few years down the road, being a property eligible for some kind of acquisition, and then we could have a lot that could then be, a decent parcel there on Warfel. So, I mean, it's all subjective and speculative, but.
So how many residentials would remain between the two commercial properties?
2.
There would be 2 remaining.
Yes.
One's vacant.
One is currently vacant.
So there's only one actually between the 2.
Yes, that is currently an occupied structure.
The commercial building is the square, this is north?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, north is,
This is north?
that's south.
That's south.
There's a little tool shop to the north.
So the bayfront connector, of course,
Oh,
is
this
directly
one,
behind.
this
yeah.
one, so you're looking at these two. I'm sorry, is this property vacant that she wants to,
Yes, and
and then this is a separate lot,
Yes.
and then this is, it just looks like,
Yeah, the lines don't line up, but that house sits basically property line to property line there to the north, and then the owner of that structure owns the vacant lot and that commercial building to the north
I
as well.
see. These 3 are under common ownership, these 3?
No, those 2 right there.
These
yeah.
2.
That and the one, but the one with the White House on it is currently vacant
Okay, thank
and
you.
overgrown.
Sorry.
So there's about 2,400 back taxes on there. She's aware that has to be
Yes.
dealt with.
Yes. And it would be a demolition. There's no saving the structure. It is in very poor condition.
Is this structure here on the lot?
Yes, it is on the
Okay,
lot. Yes,
thank you,
the
that's what I
line,
was
like I said, the
confused.
lines don't
They're
line
really
up.
off.
If you really look there to the left of that blue line, there's a fence, and that's the the accurate property line.
Okay.
Basically, 0 lot line on the left side of that house.
It's a good-sized lot.
So come out as 80 by 110, yeah, so it's a double lot by City of Erie's normal standards.
I could see some value in that land once these are all cleared off, either side of them wanting to expand potentially.
Yeah, I mean, if it was, right next to that property to the left, I mean, I'm sure that would have had an instant value to them, but unfortunately, it's, residential there, so.
They're going this way. So, okay, we want to distraction out there.
Yeah, something's happening. Just make sure it doesn't go. Uh-oh. Is this the first property that's been donated to the land bank, or we've done this in the past? This
It has
first
been
one?
done in the past, yes.
Okay.
That 554 East 25th was a donation property. that had the demo liens on it.
Oh, I see, that's, okay. I think seems like a really good move for the land bank to start acquiring property like this. Donation is a little bit smoother and easier for us to,
Yes, it should be
Deal with.
pending any, of course. You know, she can say there's no other liens or anything on the property, but we won't know that until Gene starts doing his work. Of course, accepting this is all contingent upon, you know, of course, the title search and all that coming back, as she says.
And the taxes.
And her paying the tax, of course. So we wouldn't transfer deed without that.
Yeah, I just like to, you know, and it's going to take time, but we have an opportunity to make this more contiguous with its use being commercial, residential, commercial. You know, maybe you free up, you know, 2 out of these 3 residentials, and you know, 2 of them sound like they're ready to come down. So it's the type of, I think, focus that we want to have. And we could say, okay, over the next few years, this could all be vacant, so to speak, just from a
Yeah.
use standpoint.
Yeah, it's a little bit different area than a residential single lot next to,
Right.
you know.
have some potential.
Okay. I mean, I don't see a downside to taking this on as long as all the liens are cleared. Paul or Deb, do you have any?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, if no more discussion, then I would seek a motion to accept the donation offer for 2236 Warfel Avenue.
So moved.
I'll second.
Kathy seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, Aaron, on to other business.
All right, I have nothing else under new, and then, yeah, no other business.
Motion
I'll
to
give it-
adjourn?
Well, I'll give a quick 2-minute update
Okay.
here on some of our brownfield activities, especially since the land bank is supporting the EMI project. So the pedestrian bridge is scheduled to come down in the next couple of weeks. That should be down hopefully before our next meeting.
Who's doing the job? Who'd you
The
find?
bid went to Consul, was a low bid, Consul
They're good,
Construction.
yeah.
And part of the agreement was they had to have it down in 30 days. And so they've already actually moved some equipment over to the EMI site. I believe they're planning this weekend, unless there's a major weather issue. So you should start seeing some activity there. So that's a direct connection to the city land bank, obviously. The demolition of the rest of the site, we're hoping is still on track for November. Most of the waste is removed. Over at Quinn T, we're calling it Operation Big Dig, but we've actually burrowed under the building to gain access to testing some of the material there. We think that we're still on track for a November demolition there as well. So pushing ahead as hard as we can on these. But at least the first piece, which we're directly supporting, which is the pedestrian bridge, you should see some activity soon. That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other business, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
Paul won on that one.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.